those who are watching this review, you will notice that I am going to be talking about the movie Spiral. And I want all of you to sit in your chairs and listen to the very effective words I am about to say. Because there might be a certain clue in my dialogue that gets you out of the situation you're in. Live or die. Make your choice.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another exciting episode of Coocumber Reviews, provided by Coocumber Incorporated. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about Spiral. Spiral is not only the sequel in the Saw franchise that started all the way back in 2004 after the last movie known as Jigsaw, but it is also the brainchild of Chris Rock, who you can tell he really had quite a passion for this series. He really wanted to try to do something different. He really wanted to step out and not only be known as the guy who can make you laugh. He wanted to really try a new genre, and this honestly fits because I will say I really enjoyed Chris Rock's character. I enjoyed the dialogue. I enjoyed a lot of the story and the background of what was going on with him and the other characters. I enjoyed the traps. I really enjoyed how the fact that the traps in this movie made sense. Every single person who was in the trap, not only was it something that they could easily do to get out of, but it also had something to do with the crime they committed. It wasn't just something at random, and it wasn't about making it as gory and painful as possible. Even though the traps in this movie are gory, but it's not centered on the gore. It's centered on the drama of this one cop and having to do with the police department. And I actually feel like this movie came out at the right time. Due to the coronavirus, a lot of movies got pushed back, and this is one of them. I really feel like that this movie coming out now is perfect in our day and age, especially with what's going on in my hometown. I feel like this really did kind of hit home for me because I was like, my gosh, is this on point with what's going on? Because that's how it felt. And I was just sitting there being like, my gosh, this was just perfect. This is perfect time to bring this movie out. And especially with this story. I like how the killer and what he was doing and why he was doing it, it made sense. It wasn't extremely convoluted. You didn't have to go back and watch the other movies to, figure out, what was going on. I really enjoyed that this was basically a really strong, a really solid detective movie like that of Seven. One thing I also did enjoy this movie was a couple of Chris Rock's dialogue. He goes into what it's like being a cop and how it can take a drain on your life. There's a line where he says, when you become a cop, you are basically signing up to die alone. Divorce rates are high. Suicide rates are high. Alcoholism is high. He mentions a lot of these things, and I've heard stories like this where a cop, someone who was a cop committed suicide, or they became an alcoholic because they couldn't handle the stress of becoming a cop. Or, they got divorced because of where they're always getting up and going and doing their job versus staying home, or missing birthday parties or Christmas. I really enjoy that. I like when movies bring realism into it. Like Man of Steel, I don't mind that there's so much product placement in that movie because it makes the movie feel real. Yes, we do go to movies sometimes to escape, but I like when they are able to bring certain things. Like in my Mortal Kombat review, I said how I liked how they actually brought in some real history of the weapons from ninjas, where ninjas' weapons were actually, they used to be farming tools that were crafted into weapons later on, and they brought in some real historical facts about what it's like becoming a cop. I enjoyed that. I liked that. And it gave us kind of a subtle glimpse of what sometimes it's like being in a police department, from, you're not supposed to rat on other cops, to, sometimes there are going to be crooked cops. And like I said, I really feel like that this movie came out at the perfect time. It hit the nail on the head. This was also the very first Saw movie I ever seen in theaters, and it was a real marvel being able to sit actually down in the movie theater and actually see one of the movies that came out in 2004, which every single Saw movie I own, I've only seen on my computer or, on DVD. I never actually have gotten to see one in the theaters, and I'm going to buy this movie when it comes out. This actually may be my favorite Saw film. I really enjoyed this movie. it was nice to actually see something that it just wasn't about the gore, and it wasn't also about, like, let's see how we can make this as gross and painful as possible. I really like the subtlety in this movie of things that they brought in. Yeah, there were certain lines that could have been cut, and I hate myself that I wasn't able to obviously see who the killer was. That would be one of the only downside of this movie, was that you could definitely tell who the killer was because of, like, certain things that he says in the movie. And I hated that I couldn't pick it out. But I liked how every single one of the traps had something specifically to do with the victim, and it was designed on that thing that they had done. I really enjoyed that, and it was more subtle, and you were able to understand it. And it was a trap that you could easily get out of, instead of something like where you would never make that choice to do that. This was very simple. I liked it. I want to see more movies like it. And even though, like, you know, when it says, you know, Spiral from the book of Saw, like, you know, you think, oh, maybe the disciples of John Kramer have finally, like, you know, started to do this, or some people are following in his footsteps, and that's not exactly it. But guys, put in the comments below, what did you think about Spiral? Have you seen it yet? Or what's your favorite Saw movie? What's your favorite Saw trap? Let me know. Don't forget to hit that like button, hit it with that big elbow drop, and give it the 1, 2, 3. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you next time for another exciting episode of Coocumber Reviews, provided by Coocumber Incorporated. Have a good night, guys.